Hi, good evening, all of you. My name is cGXP Consultant from cGXP Computerised, and we will discuss vendor evaluation for cGXP Computerised. So let's move to our training session. I will share the slide so that uh, you can go through the slide as well as you can understand what I'm telling. So if I'm audible and everything is okay, slide is visible to all of you, please you can put in the comment section so that I will come to know that yes, everything is okay and we can discuss this topic today. So the question is, why we are discussing this? Because I saw some questions raised in the chat box before start of the session, and I come to know that there are some people who raise the question that if it is a ready-made software which is used by so many people, in the pharma industry, all the people are following this software, using this software. So do we need to use the same software? And if we are using the same software, do we need to perform the vendor evaluation for such a software? So the point is, whatever software you are using, whether it is used by all the people or no, means if it is a commercially off the shelf software, COTS software, or the software is maybe the the new one, whatever, irrespective of that, you need to perform the vendor evaluation. And how we need to perform that, we are going to discuss today. Because most of the companies, I have seen that the people are not complying to this requirement. So I thought that let us discuss this topic today. So without wasting time, let us start our today's discussion. Okay. Further, if you have any questions, no problem. You can put your questions in the chat box. I will reply to your all questions. So what we are going to discuss today. So this is the agenda, what we are going to discuss today. So basically, we will discuss about, of course, the importance of topic, know your trainer, some introduction about the trainer will be there. Main important is guideline requirement, EU, FD and GAMP requirement. So what exactly EU expectation? What exactly the FDA expectation? So whenever I am using the terminology FDA, please understand that it is a 21 CFR, means US FDA. I am speaking about the US FDA, okay, and GAMP guideline, okay. After that, we will discuss about the vendor evaluation process. So what should be the vendor evaluation process? That we will be discussing. What are the different strategies for vendor evaluation processes? And there are some different ways to evaluate the vendor. So what is the risk-based decision making? Because as per the GAMP guideline, the risk-based decision making should be there for evaluation of the vendor. So the risk-based decision making is a very critical stage, and most of the companies are not following this. So that we are going to discuss, followed by postal assessment. So when we are discussing about the postal assessment means questionnaire based, right? So what are points we need to consider when we are discussing about the questionnaire? When postal assessment is suitable, so that also scenario we need to understand that what is the scenario that the postal assessment is suitable. Key points to consider during the postal assessment. So when we are thinking or we plan to have a questionnaire, okay, vendor evaluation based on the questionnaire or postal assessment, then the point is what points we need to consider while preparing the questionnaire. That also we are going to discuss. And of course there will be the evaluation process for on-site audit assessment. So when we are discussing about the on-site audit assessment, then we will discuss about the basic audit flow that everybody will be aware, no problem. Followed by the what is the supplier good practices. So what are the good practices supplier should follow? It is recommended in the GAMP guideline. So that we are going to discuss, followed by the question answer session. So whatever the questions you have, you can put in the chat box. At the end of the session, I will go through the each question and then we can discuss on the each question, followed by the vote of thanks and contact details, this is the overview of the today's training session. Okay, so this is just a brief about me. Okay, my name is Hitendra Kumar Shah. I am a cGMP compliance consultant, trainer, and auditor from NADH plus GXP Compliance Services. I am in a pharma domain since more than 23 years, and this is what my brief about the CV. Uh, Again, some information is given in the another slide. I am sharing this my short CV in the presentation. The reason is many pharma companies, they consider this recording as a external training program in their organization. So for them, they need to have a expert CV who is providing the training. So that is the reason I am putting here the one slide. And one thing I just want to tell you that I have audited more than 500 sites. I am performing the gap audits, mock audit, third party audits, or vendor audits and all, even vendor audits for of course API and all other drug product formulation and all, as well as the vendor audit for the computerized systems also. So the point here is I have audited more than 500 sites, and I come to know that most of the companies where they are lacking, and there that only I am focusing while the discussion. Okay, so I am using my experience about the audit, and I am discussing or sharing these thoughts to you during our discussion. So again, I am requesting you, if you have any questions, put in the chat box. If you face any practical problem also while dealing with the vendors and all, or vendor evaluation, that also you can put. I will discuss that thing. Okay, the part may not be the discussed during the session, but if you have any question related to the topic, you definitely can put that. Okay, sometime what happened, I prepare the training presentation, but I may miss in discussing this. So due to your question, that will be helpful to discuss, and it will be helpful to all the people. Okay, so this is what the major work experience. I started my career with Sun Pharma. I work in Alembic, I work in Blue Cross Laboratories, I work in US Vitamins, Zadus Cadila. I work in multinationals like AstraZeneca, Sanofi, and Mylan. This is my major work experience. Before going ahead now, a short disclaimer. The reason, that whenever you want to follow, you need to follow the current guideline, because whatever that this training module is, training video is prepared, it is for the learning purpose only. Okay, so you can go through this disclaimer or moving ahead, and let us start our today's discussion topic without wasting time. That is a vendor evaluation for cGXP computerized system, and what is the guideline requirements for the vendor evaluation, that we are going to discuss now through these slides now. Okay, hope everything is okay and slides are visible to all of you. So very simple requirements, and the training topics, I am trying to make it in a simple and easy language, so please bear with me. If you have any more questions about my speaking or any topic, you please put in the comment section. I will reply to you. Okay, so whatever complicated terminologies or complicated requirements are there, I am making it in a simple way and easy to understand way, so that everybody can understand and they can follow, they can implement. Okay, but before implementation, please refer the current guideline, because this training now I am conducting today is 28th of January 2024, but the recording will be available in the YouTube for long period. So whenever you are going through the recording, please follow the instructions what I am giving you. Okay, so what is the EU requirement? The competence and reliability of a supplier are key factors when selecting a product or service provider. The need for an audit should be based on a risk assessment. Very clear. The competence and reliability of a supplier are the key factors. So I am just making in the bold. Why I am discussing this again, I am telling you, my dear friends, if you are using the COTS software, commercially available software. See, in pharma there are most of the commercial softwares are available. Which are the example? Chromeleon, Empower, Lab Solution. These three chromatography related softwares are used. Then others are related to the stability chambers. So most of the softwares are commonly used by the pharma. So they feel that all companies are using, so why I need to do the vendor evaluation, and they skip the vendor evaluation process and they fail to comply the requirement. And this is exactly guideline expectation as per the EUGMP Annex 11. Okay. Hope you got my point. If you have any question, please put your questions. Okay. Quality system and audit information relating to the suppliers or developers of a software and implemented systems should be made available to inspectors on request. That means if any inspector during the regulatory audits, the regulatory inspections, if the inspector gives the request to have the access to the audit reports and all, you should able to present. So that is the reason I am again emphasizing that nowadays at this moment the FDA inspector or EUGMP inspectors are not much focused on vendor evaluation of a computerized system, but we don't know, maybe tomorrow in future they may focus and you may get the citations from the respective regulatory agencies. So please take care from today only. So the GMP requirement, this is the GAMP requirement basically. This is a GAMP requirement. So what is the requirement by GAMP, So the GAMP requirement is the project phase involves, so when you are planning to have a project for computerized system, it involves planning, supplier assessment, selection, various levels of specification, configuration or coding for custom applications, verifications leading to acceptance and release for operation. Risk management is applied to identify risk and to remove or reduce them to an acceptable level. Regulated companies should ensure that internal and external suppliers are made aware of the need for regulatory compliance. The regulated company should verify prior to contract placement that the supplier has adequate expertise and resource to support user requirements and expectations. So that is the reason how you can evaluate that the supplier has adequate expertise and resources to support your requirement and expectations. It is nothing but the you need to perform the supplier evaluation. The most common mechanism for this is the supplier assessment, which may include an audit depending on risk, complexity and novelty. So what you need to consider the parameters? You need to consider the parameters risk, complexity and novelty. Hope it is clear, and I purposely put the key points highlighted so that you should not miss it. Correct? So this is the GAMP guideline, and there are some different expectations by FDA. So you can go through this again FDA guideline expectations. You will come to know the specific with respect to the cloud based, because when you are in using the cloud based services, it is not directly under your control. So you need to depend on some other vendors. So in that case, clearly it is given by the FDA, where cloud or virtual services are used, attention should be paid to understanding the service provided, ownership, retrieval, retention and security of the data. Very clear. See, whatever the information is given by FDA, very clear. The physical location where the data is held, including the impact of any laws applicable to the geographic location, should be considered. So what happened when you are using the cloud-based services? See, cloud-based means it is not a case that the data is stored in the actual clouds. Cloud-based means data is stored in the hardware server only, but the exact location of a server you may not be aware, and the location of the server is very very far away or a distant way from your side. So what happened whenever you are taking the help of a cloud based services, please check, please ask them that what is the physical location of the data. So mostly what happened, the data will be stored in the multiple locations. So when the you need to understand the physical location of the data so that you will come to know some applicable laws and all. Why it is required? The reason is sometimes what happen when you will have the specific support, the support may not be required. For example, in most of the countries, like for example, you know, there will be completely off during specific days, maybe specific seasons. The system may be completely off or may not be supportive, or on some days specifically the system may not they may not able to support due to the lack of the people working over there, because they have the work planning accordingly. So it depends on in which geometrical locations they are available. That also you need to understand with respect to the local laws. Hope I am not so fast. If you feel I am fast, you just put your comment so that I know I will be discussing slow. Otherwise, I will discuss the same with the same speed. Okay. So the next point what I would discuss here is the responsibilities of the contract given and acceptor should be defined in a technical agreement or contract. So whenever you are dealing with the computerized system, you need to have a technical agreement. This should ensure timely access to data. Of course, when we are discussing about data, you need to consider the metadata and audit trails to the data owner and national competent authorities upon request. So there may be possibility there that the national competent authority or maybe the FDA may FDA of a own country or FDA of other country may ask. So based on their request, you should able to provide the data access. Contracts with providers should define responsibilities for archiving and continued readability of the data throughout the retention period. So these are some requirements by FDA, and that is the reason all the points are, you can see that there should be indirectly the lot of controls are required, and that is the reason we need to have a vendor evaluation in a very detailed way. Again, there are some requirements are there about by FDA. Appropriate arrangements must exist for the restoration of the software system as per its original validated state, including validation and change control information to permit their restoration. See, the point is whenever you are dealing with the vendor, you need to ensure that the system is working in the original validated state. So when suppose you are using the computerized system today and you are performing the validation, then there should not be any changes or major changes should be made in the computerized system. If any major changes are or any changes are made by the vendor, they need to communicate to you that what changes they are making and whether it is impacting on the validation state of the system or not. See what happened most of the time, I have seen that if you miss user, user is facing some problem in operating the system or operating the the software. So what happened, the IT guy will give the remote access to the vendor, and vendor will access the computerized system used by the user. In that case, what happened, vendor may do some things in the system. As you are not from the IT background, you are from the pharma background, you may not able to know what vendor is doing at the back end for solving your problem. So whatever the vendor is doing any change, it may impact on the validation state, we don't know. And most of the time when the remote access are given, the quality department may not even notified or may not aware about the remote access also. That is the reason I always request all people that you need to have a formal format. So whenever the remote access is required to be given, fill the format, take the approval by quality team, and then only remote access will be should be given. And in the same format, what exact the vendor did the activity, whether the vendor uh, updated some patches, or vendor updated some the antivirus definitions, or vendor made some changes in the backend changes in the some programs, that has to be specified and whether it is impacting on the validated state of the system or not. That all should be recorded, so that we can ensure that whatever the computerized system we are using, it is in its original validated state. So when you audit this, you will come to know that whether the vendor is following the change control procedures and all, so that they will follow the change control procedure, and through change control they will communicate to you. And the other requirement of a FDA with respect to the business continuity arrangements. So basically this arrangement should be included in the contract and tested. So whatever you are preparing the contract or agreement, that in the agreement this point should be considered, and also the testing of the business continuity arrangement should be recorded. The need for an audit of the service provider should be based upon risk. So if you want to do audit, or you need to do some different way of evaluation, it should be based upon the risk. That is what the FDA expectation. So here FDA expects that when you are dealing with the computerized system vendor, so the uh, you need to perform the risk-based approach, you need to follow the risk-based approach, and based on that you need to take the decision whether you need to do the audit or not. Okay, hope you are getting my point and everybody is with me. So how exactly the risk-based the decision should be taken? So a simple example I have given, you will come to know from the slide. So basically, this is a risk-based decision what is expected by FDA. So the decision on the type of assessment required should be upon the risk associated with the system. Consideration must be given to the underlying process to be controlled, novelty and complexity of the system, and ultimately the risk of the product quality, patient safety and data integrity. You got my point? This is the exact guideline requirement. Okay, so here main point is what, whenever we are performing a risk assessment, of course we need to consider the impact on the product quality, patient safety, data integrity. That I agree with you, you also will agree with me, right? This is normal thing, right? But now the point is whether we need to perform the vendor audit or what. It should be based on the what process we are controlling with the software. For example, whether you are controlling the release procedure, or you are controlling just attendance of the people, or you are controlling the salary calculation of the people, what exact process you are controlling, that point we need to consider. Second is novelty of the system. So what specific to this system, this is a novel system or the specific system, that we need to consider. And complexity, whether the system is complex or simple. For example, if any software is there which you are following or using through just Google Chrome, and you are using some learning management system or document control, you're operating through Google Chrome, it's a simple system. But complex system is, let us take the example of a SCADA system or PLC system, where the the software is associated with some equipment and the control mechanisms are there, as well as along with the control there are some monitoring and evaluation decisions are there. So this is called a complex system. So the vendor evaluation when you are performing, then you need to consider these aspects, and then you need to perform the RAG analysis, red, amber, green analysis. Okay, the decision should be documented as part of the initial system risk assessment. So whatever the decision you will take this, whether about the vendor evaluation and all, it should be documented as a part of the initial system risk assessment. This is what the basic vendor evaluation process. Okay, hope you understand what I'm telling. This is just a brief about vendor evaluation process, and then we will discuss actually that how we can do in a better way, practically implement that also I am discussing. So please be with me. Okay, so the what people will do, no, they people will just read the slides, or they feel that I will read the slide and I will understand. But other than slides also I am discussing lot of things, my dear friends. So you need to listen this. So now I am discussing about the vendor evaluation process. After that I will discuss about the different strategies for vendor evaluation and how practically you can implement that. I am going to discuss. Okay, so please be with me. So this is what you know about the infrastructure. When infrastructure related activities are to be outsourced to contractors or service providers, formal agreements including the definition of roles responsibility must be established and implemented prior to the transfer of these activities to the respective contractors or service providers. So whenever you are taking the contractors, take support from contractor for infrastructure, maybe the the connecting the giving the infrastructure to your servers, or connecting to the different computer systems LAN. And if you are giving the contract, then you need to have a agreement with the contractor. That is what the expectation. So simple meaning is what, wherever you are taking the support from any contractor, not only the software purchase, please understand this many people get confused. I am not using any computerized system. I am using only computer system in a in a quality control laboratory which is associated with the instruments, analytical instruments. So it is not applicable for me. No, my dear, it is applicable for all. Because when you are using the any computerized system in your company, you will require lot of infrastructure, and most of the infrastructure will be supplied or received from the different suppliers. So whenever you are getting it from the suppliers and they are supporting you for maintenance and all, you need to have an agreement in that. Okay, hope you are getting my point. People forget this point, they don't focus on this point itself. Infrastructure, they only focus on the software computerized systems. But in addition to computerized system, the infrastructure means, suppose the LAN, then LAN cables, LAN cable connections, all these not possible to maintain by the local IT team. The local IT team need to take the support from the external vendor for all these infrastructure. Let me tell you one thing. Okay, it is possible to use the qualification documentation supplied by the provider to leverage the qualification efforts provided. So the point is, yes, sometimes what happened, the computer system vendor is giving you the computerized system software, and along with that the vendor will give you the qualification document also. That of course that can be used by the user company, or you can use that same documents, provided, please refer the specified in the board, provided that this documentation is complete, accurate, and follow GXP documentation requirements. So the point is, whenever you are using any vendor documentation with respect to the vendor validation documentation and all, you need to have a internal or the local procedure to evaluate this document before use. And you need to evaluate document with respect to whether the document is complete. Complete means what? All different tests, whatever is expected, all are considered. All different requirements are considered. Accurate, all the information is correct. And also, whatever the GXP requirements are there, all GXP documentation requirements are fulfilled or not, that you need to evaluate. And based on that, you should take a decision that yes, the same document can be used for further execution. If you come to know that it is not in line with some GXP documentation requirement, in that case you can specify in the form that this is not compliant to the GXP documentation requirement. And so what you need to do further, you can either inform to the vendor to upgrade the document, revise the document, or if vendor denies to upgrade or revise the document, then you can raise one addendum in your format, your own company format. You can raise addendum, and in the addendum you can add further whatever you want to put the requirements to comply the cGXP documentation requirements, or if any test is missing, for example, and vendor is not ready to update the document to put that test, then no problem, you can raise the addendum. You attach that addendum with the original documentation received from the vendor, and in that addendum you can specify that test and you can perform that specific test. So that way you can upgrade the things. So my point is, blindly we should not use the documentation received from the vendor. This is the key message with this slide. Okay, so now let us start our topic. So this is what I was telling about the guidelines, requirements, and the vendor evaluation process. So what are the procedure for vendor evaluation process? So basically there are three processes for vendor evaluation. First is public information assessment, second postal assessment, and third is on-site audit assessment. Of course, I specifically put in the capital letters here that the public information assessment should not be followed. As many people are using this, so I thought that let us put this in the training session so that the people will come to know that public information assessment should not be followed. What does it mean? It means that what software you are using, they discuss with some other companies or other the colleagues in the other companies. The colleagues will recommend that you use this software, it is very good, so many companies are using the same software, you also go with the same software, and based on that they take the decision that okay, let us go with the same software. This is not accepted. So that is the reason I specifically put in the first point that public information assessment should not be followed. Of course, you can follow the postal assessment. Postal assessment means vendor evaluation questionnaire based, or you can have a on-site audit assessment. Correct? You got my point? So I just prepared this flow to make you understand about the you know how we can use this tools. Okay, I prepare some flow chart with respect to the public information assessment, postal assessment, and the on-site assessment. So basically this flow chart is very simple, easy to understand, no much technicality is required here. I prepare in a very simple format. Okay, so you can see here I put all these three requirements: postal assessment and all the assessments, public information assessment, and you can see the on-site audit and all, and it gives you information that how we can use it. And I preferably put here the red cross that public information assessment should not be used. So basically let us focus on now the postal assessment and on-site audit. Many people perform public assessment, document review, and then they prepare the report, but it is not accepted, so I just put the cross. So let us discuss upon the on-site audit and postal assessment. So on-site audit, very simple flow, you are aware about that. Define the scope, audit team, notify, set the date, perform the audit. After audit there will be some findings, you share the audit report, and you request for kappa. Then once you receive the response from them, you review the kappa, and if kappa are satisfactory, then you close the audit, you produce the final report. Correct? Postal assessment is what? You prepare the postal questionnaire, you formal notify them formally, send a questionnaire, you review it, and when you review it you may find some observations, and then you will give some observations to them. Now you will ask me, sir, how it is possible that on the basis of questionnaire we will get some the observations. There are many places where you will get the points that whether the computer system vendor is having that system or not. So from the questionnaire, if you come to know that specific system they don't have, you give the observation, and based on that they can implement that system. Okay, and then you can do the further take the review the corrective actions, and you can prepare the report. Sometime what happen, you can club postal assessment as well as the on-site audit. How? So when you are doing the audit, So you give the observations, and when you get the kappa report, you review it, and if you come to know that it is not satisfactory, then you can evaluate the kappa and further through the postal assessment. So that way also you can use the postal assessment. Even this complete picture also you can put in your uh, company SOP, because this is very important and very it can guide you practically how you can make a properly postal assessment as well as the on-site audit. So it will help you in a better way, so you can put this also in your SOP, no problem at all. Okay, so now this is what I was discussing about a simple process flow, and now the main point is about the risk based decision. Now the risk based decision means what? Whether I need to perform only the postal assessment or I need to perform the site audit. So this provision you should give in your the SOP procedure. You know how you can follow this? A simple, you can evaluate the system complexity. So system may be complex and simple, correct? So for example, if system is a bespoke software or configurable software like category 4 and 5, or system may be category 3, which is a standard software. So if it is a standard software and system is simple, then you can see it is a low risk and you can go with the postal evaluation. If system is complex and also it is a configurable software, so risk is high, and that way you can go for a site audit also. So this way you can take the decision for performing the risk taking, for performing the whether you need to perform the audit or not. Okay, some points with respect to the postal assessment, because most of the company they perform the postal assessment, but they are not aware that what they need to consider much. So let us discuss about the postal assessment, what they need to consider. Postal assessments can be used to garner the information on suppliers' organizational structure, business process, quality process, and product development life cycle. For low complexity or for well-established mature systems, postal audits with a thorough response from a supplier accompanied by supporting documentary evidence may be sufficient. For more complex systems, it may be used to allow the audit team to focus more time on critical areas or to identify areas that require more detailed review. I just gone through this requirement. I read it for you, your sake. You can also read this, no problem. So here, simple is what? You need to evaluate the complexity, and if it is less complex, then you can go for the postal assessment, no risk with that. I'm just making in simple language and easy to understand, right? Because the decision making is important here. It is not that much of important that how you evaluate post by with the postal questionnaire, right? Here the important is how you take the decision. That is what the important point here, and in that point I am discussing here, so that you will aware about this. Okay, so postal audits may be used to verify the status of open corrective actions or to update records on an existing previously audited suppliers. So you can use the postal assessment in conjunction with the site audits. Okay, and the decision of a postal audit only must be documented and justified against. So why I need to do the postal audit? Why I should not do only the site audits, or why I need to do only site audit, not the postal audit? That decision should be documented and justified against product complexity, novelty, supplier's experience and reputation, and the last very important point is potential risk to product quality and patient safety. So based on that, you need to evaluate, you need to perform the risk assessment. Just now how I explained you about the red, amber, green. That way you can perform the risk assessment and you can identify the RPN. This RPN will be red, this RPN will be amber, this much of RPN green, and based on that you can prepare the RAG analysis. Okay. Why I'm not discussing here much about the risk assessment, because I have prepared different training sessions on specific to the quality risk management, general quality risk management, the simple understanding of a quality risk management, revised guideline as per ICH Q9R1, then cGXP assessment of the vendor, cGXP quality risk management of a cGXP computerized system. So many different training topics I have conducted in this YouTube platform. So that is the reason today I am not much discussing about the quality risk management. I am just touching this RAG analysis and all. So if you want to understand in more detail, you can further refer that requirements. Okay. And of course, if you need any support, I am there. If you face any questions, you put in the chat box, comment section, I will reply to your questions. And for your benefit, what I will do, in the description section also I will share the link for quality risk management. This will be helpful for you, right? So now, what point you consider post assessment? So many people will consider that, okay, I agree with that. Okay, we take a decision that whether we need to do the site audit or we can do the postal assessment. Okay, that decision we have taken. So as per the requirement, okay, we have performed the risk assessment also, and based on that we take the risk based decision also. But the question is, if we want to go with the postal assessment, what points we need to consider? So I always suggest all people that categorize these points in a 6 different heads. Categorize these points of a postal assessment under 6 different heads. So first heading will be company information. Under that company information, some general information about the company like address, site company address, contact details, how many people are working over there, any registration details. That information should be there in the company information. Simple. Second heading should be computerized system details. That is what the important thing. What is that? It means, software name, what type of software you are interested, what is the release history. That means what, now suppose the software will be used, supplied to you, but before that any different you supplied to some other countries or any other customers. That information they will tell you. Further, versions, how many versions are released. So now suppose suppose fourth version is there, so whether version 3, version 2 also it's in use by some other customers or not. That information you can take in under the heading for computerized system details. Third heading is for quality systems followed by the vendor. Vendor need to follow the quality systems, because this software will be used by the pharmaceutical company, so they need to have a cGXP certification. So basically the vendor who is supplying the software for pharmaceutical use, they need to have a cGXP certification. And whether they are aware about, so what is the cGXP certification? Basically, they need to get the cGXP certification. We also provide the cGXP certification for different computerized system vendors. So what we do, we evaluate all the different quality requirements by different guidelines and whether they comply to these requirements or not. So basically different guideline requirements related to the computerized system, we evaluate that, and then based on that we not only give the certificate, but in addition to that we evaluate the report, and based on the evaluation report we give the certificate. And in the certificate it is specified that only certificate is not valid unless and it is until it is produced with the along with the report. So the cGXP certification is very important. Software and hardware inspection and testing controls. So whatever the software and hardwares are used, so what are the testing controls they have, what type of testing they have, whether they are performing the testing or they outsource the testing, that all information should be in that particular topic. The fifth point is supporting process. So what are the supporting process? Supporting process means whether the vendor is having a security policy, ethics policy and all. Now you will ask me why it is required to have a ethics policy in a computer software vendor or any computer supports. See my dear friends, we are going to generate the the um, cGXP data through the software, and the data may be accessed by the vendor. If you are using, let us take example that you are using through the cloud-based services, so your data will be at a cloud-based and you are using the vendor to maintain that cloud. So if they don't have the ethics policy, strong ethics policies, or if they don't have that type of a strong policies or code of conduct policies, then there may be possibility that there may be some insider malicious people who can play with the data. So to avoid that, this is required. And the next point you need to consider, that is a support for business continuity and disaster recovery. Okay, so this point you need to consider when we are discussing about the assessment, right? Now, on-site assessment, the next point is on-site audit assessment. You are all aware about this assessment. Simple thing, you need to have the planning, audit scheduling, then you need to prepare audit agenda. On-site audit you need to perform, you need to prepare the audit report, you need to share the audit report to auditee, then kappa report you will get it from auditee, and after review, if it is satisfactory, you can close the audit. Simple this requirement. Now the very important point, I want to share this slide with you in line with the GAMP guideline. Hope the slide is able to all of you. And what I want to display this is a GAMP guideline and expectation about the supplier good practices. So you can see here what are the supplier good practices that you need to evaluate during the on-site audit program. So whether they have established QMS, whether they have established requirement with respect to different regulatory companies and all, quality planning they have, assessment of sub suppliers, whether they have the procedure to assess the sub supplier, they they are able to prepare the specifications or not, perform design review, software production configuration, perform testing, commercial release of the system, whether they provide the user documentation and training, support and maintain the system or operations, system replacement and retirement. So these are the very important, you can say, the key requirements given or expected by the GAMP 5 for suppliers. Okay, so this is what I am telling you. If you need the training presentation, please send me the request. I will share the link, so that from the link you will get the training presentation. After this training, if anybody is asking about the training presentation, I may not able to share the training link because the link will expire in just a couple of days. So if you are interested in a training presentation, please put the comment so that I will share the training presentation link through the chat box, so you can download from the link immediately. Okay, this is what the today's training topic. Thank you so much, and these are my contact details. Thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance. Thank you. So now let us discuss about some questions from the people who are now attending the training session. So let us discuss about the questions. So again, I am telling, if you need the training presentation, please put your comment so that I will share the training presentation now, because you are attending this training session live. After that, if you are going through the recorded training version, training of this topic, then I may not able to give the training presentation. Please try to understand, because it will not be with me, it will get modified. So I am just going through the questions. So if you have if you need training presentation, please put your comment. So meantime, I will just discuss about the training questions. Okay, our team is really getting benefit. Thank you GXP training. I am from training department. I am sharing this link with the company people. Yeah, I request all people that you please share this link of a training to your WhatsApp group, company WhatsApp group, so that they will get benefit, all your team members will get benefit. Okay, we are using COT software. Still, do we need to perform vendor evaluation? Yes, I already explained this. Many people make this mistake, and they use the commercially off the shelf software, and they feel that vendor evaluation is not required. This is absolutely wrong. Okay, so you need to perform vendor evaluation for all the different types of softwares. Okay, thank you. I think my voice may be not clear during that period. So if you are not clear because somebody put the comment that um, Satish Karta called spoke that they please speak little loud. So if you didn't understand some specific content, my request is you can go through the recorded session. Automatically you can access from the same link. Same link will be valid for recorded session. So from the same link you can access the recordings and you can understand the topic. Okay, please share the link, okay, for the presentation. Okay, just a minute, I will share the link to the so that you can download the training presentation from the link. Okay, again I am requesting, please download the presentation immediately as soon as you get link, because link will get expired within just a couple of days. Okay, so I am sharing. So you can download this. uh, Satish Kumar is asking that same software audited by other unit of same group again need to do the audit. No, no my dear, no my dear. See, if the software, the computerized system, I will not use the word software, I will use the word computerized system, that is better. If that computerized system is used by the multiple sites, the company, suppose one company, mother company, and they have suppose the 10 plants. So if it is audited by the your corporate or any other person from the 10 plants, then no need to audit by the other plant people. Okay, so I have shared the training presentation link, please download it immediately. Okay, Mr. Satish Kumar is asking difference between GXP assessment and vendor assessment. See, basically there are some differences. The GXP assessment means what? Whether the system is GXP impacting or not impacting. Maybe suppose any system for example is related to the finance, or the system you used, uh, the system is used for your attendance purpose or salary calculation, so that may not be the GXP. So the scope, whether the system is GXP or non-GXP, that is called the GXP assessment. And vendor assessment means what? The software or the computerized systems from where you are you are getting that vendor evaluation is called a vendor assessment. Hope you got the point. I put one here a poll that do you hesitate to ask the question during our training session, and I got the response that 29% of the people say yes. So my dear friend, no need to hesitate. Nobody will ask you anything else. From your questions, benefit is, when you have some questions, from your questions when I am discussing, so from one question, one person's question, so many people will understand, so many people, other people will get learning. That is the intention. So that is the reason I am always request all people to ask the question, so that from your one person's question multiple people can learn the different things. And some people put the comment, 14% people put a other, that means they have put some comment, I don't know. But 57 people are not hesitant to ask the question. Thank you, good. But the people who are not asking the question, I again telling you, please develop the habit of asking the questions. Okay, so there is one question again, I will just take a now, this is the last question. Previous version and current version changes need to do other unit. previous version and current version changes need to do other. Sorry, question is not clear, Mr. Satish Kumar. Okay, again you're writing. Okay, then also audit required. No. See, suppose now the site unit 2 is using the version 3, and then you are in unit 4, you are using the vendor version, next version. So audit is not required because the vendor is same, their quality systems is same, software is same, only the system is upgraded. So audit is not required, vendor evaluation even not required, through the postal assessment or vendor questionnaires can be complete. Okay. I think here we need to stop today now. Okay. Thank you so much. And again, I am requesting all people to share this to all your team members and request them to subscribe this YouTube free learning platform so that they will also get benefit from this free learning sessions. Thank you so much, and see you again in the next Saturday, coming Saturday at same time with the different topic. Thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance. Thank you. Now I am closing this session. Okay.